FEW's third president was Esther Lawton. Esther worked for 44 years with the Department of the Treasury, retiring as the Deputy Director of Personnel. She served as national president from 1971 to 1972.
I did quite a few things during my year between the spring of 71 and the spring of 72. Here are some of the facts which I can recall with pleasure. The total membership of FEW in my year almost tripled, both in existing chapters and in the new 7 or 8 or 12, I really don't remember. After all, that was 20 years ago. And for a woman who will be 81 in August this year, you can't expect me to remember details now, can you? Anyway, I remember going to at least 7 or 8 or 9 or 12, or I don't remember how many chapters for the already existing ones. And that was to encourage them to continue doing what they were doing. And then also to present new charters to all of the new chapters who just came in while I was president. By the way, I paid all my expenses. I didn't expect the Treasury Department to pay for me, and besides, I don't think they wanted to. And so I saved FEW a lot of money. We had no real staff. We had no real big office. We had some excellent officers working with me, and we had a lot of willing volunteers. We often met at each other's homes or offices, and we did all the chores: staffing, stuffing envelopes, writing, telephoning, and we did everything that we thought that had to be done. We all tried to make contacts. We traveled as much as possible. We made speeches anywhere and everywhere where we were asked. We were determined to make FEW a success. Some of my chapters were fascinating. I remember especially going to San Antonio, Texas, where I was greeted like royalty. And that's okay because I'm of a royal Italian family. A real red carpet from the airport lobby to the plane exit. I don't remember a band playing, but I was certainly greeted with a lot of joyous acclaim. Not only that, I was made mayor of San Antonio for that day. I tried to keep within limits, so that I wouldn't be taken the next day and saying that I had done something irregular. When I went to the Huntsville chapter, for example, I persuaded some of the men who were there to become members. And I thought that was a big achievement. I gave testimony in Congress. Meantime, I was writing articles, pamphlets, policy studies, and everything for FEW and for the other professional organizations that I belong to. A lot of this between 1971 and 72 also included my presidency of the Phi Beta Kappa Association of Washington, D.C., as well as a chapter of Business and Professional Women. I made contacts with other organizations, including the Civil Service Commission, which is now called OPM. Fancy title to make it sound good. A lot happened until the spring of 1972. The then nominating committee chair asked if I would run again, but I said I had a commitment to talk to my boss about that. At the time, I was the Assistant Director of Personnel for the entire Treasury Department, in charge of classification, pay administration, and employee relations. I think that was the title that I had at the time. Anyway, I told him, I went to my boss and I told him that I had been asked to run again for a second term as vice president, as the president of FEW. He recommended that I decline because the pressure now was on about conflicts of interest. And that very morning, in the spring of '72, I was promoted to be Deputy Director of Personnel as his personal assistant at a supergrade level GS-16. That was a graduation from grade 2 when I first entered in government. And I might be accused, he said, of few favoritism in handling appeals. And the General Counsel of the Treasury Department urged me not to run. So I did that to the chagrin of some of my friends. They said that I should have stuck to my guns, but I felt I could do more by being active and being accepted at the Treasury Department level for the women. And I did, because I was able to make sure that they got on lists, on promotion lists, and so on. And this was, I felt, my greatest achievement. Scholastically, it's a little bit about my personal background. Scholastically, from grammar school to high school to Phi Beta Kappa and to the federal government, and when I got my master's degree. Professionally, I moved up from GS2 to GS16. I've been president of 17 different organizations. I now belong to about 23 or 24 or 25, something like that. I don't attend all the meetings because I just don't have that much time, but I support them at least financially, and I always go to their final meetings or to their big events and so on, and I still do that for few. I am now, at the present time, the president of an organization called Art, Science, and Technology Institute, and have been since 1983. I have won the Federal Women's Award. I have so many other awards, I keep them in a box about this size and this tall. Because I don't have any more wall space in my small apartment to put all these certificates and plaques and so on that I won. I have been very active, by the way, in the National Woman's Party, and have been since 1969. In August, at this convention of the National Woman's Party, I will be running on a single slate, so I'm sure to be there, corresponding secretary of the National Women's Party and recording secretary of the Women's Party Corporation. We exchanged things because they wanted to keep me on the board. I've been a consultant for the Ford Foundation and for other organizations in which I have done personnel management work. I've taught a course in management techniques. I did a lot of teaching. In fact, I taught French for 25 years at George Washington University. Well, I'm still dedicated to the cause of women, and I will continue to be for the rest of my life. Thank you.